So I am the engagement manager for our Children's Trust, which is a nonprofit based in Eugene, Oregon, but partnering around with attorneys, scientists, and representing youth around the world. Our Children's Trust was started about 6 years ago with the sole mission of securing the legal right to a safe and stable climate system for all present and future generations. So our two core principles are everything we do is youth-led. You'll notice I'm not a youth, but I'm here because our organization represents youth. The second thing that we pride ourselves on is everything we push for is based in science. So we work in the judicial branch. We don't work in the political branch. So we can push for not what's politically feasible, but what is actually needed if we want to stabilize this planet for these young folks and those that are going to come after them. So what does that mean? That means if we want to stabilize this planet, we need to get our CO2 levels in the atmosphere back to 350 parts per million by the end of the century. We can do that. We need to start doing it immediately. Waiting for the legislative or executive branches so far has not worked. So our Children's Trust theory is, let's go to the other co-equal branch of our American government, the judicial branch. We know the judicial branch is there to act as the bulwark to make sure our fundamental rights are not violated. So the youth we represent, and in our federal case, we represent 21 youth from across the country. They are bringing a case against the executive branch of the U.S. government under the claims that the government has violated their Fifth Amendment right to life, liberty, and property, and that they are being treated unequally in violation of the Equal Protection Clause, because they and those that come after them are going to be the ones really affected most by the policy decisions and the actions taken by our government today and over the past 60 years. So we're having a trial. It's going to be held on October 29th in Eugene, Oregon. We are having organizers all over the country, really all over the world, step up, and they're going to set up their own rallies and events and educational opportunities to plug into this case on the first day of trial and after. So if you want to find out more, please go to ourchildrenstrust.org or youthvgov.org. We'll make sure that you're getting connected with other supporters around where you are, and you can learn a lot more. I'm just giving you the bare basics here, but this is a state level, federal, and international campaign. I'm really excited to be here with these other youth, and they're going to tell you about what they're doing right here in the Bay Area. Thanks.
Thank you, Corey. And you know, okay, thank you. Our next speaker is Isabella Zizi. Isabella has been involved with Idle No More. She's been a signatory on the Indigenous Women of the Americas Defending Mother Earth Treaty. Ask her about that. She's part of the Indigenous delegation of the UN FCCC Conference of Parties COP23 in Bonn, Germany, which was in November 2017. So we're going to hand it over to Isabella.
Thank you, Julie. Good afternoon, relatives. My name is Isabella Zizi. I come from the Northern Cheyenne, Arikara, and Muskogee Creek tribes. Before I really start, I do want to acknowledge that the land that we're standing on is occupied Ohlone territory, so thank you to the ancestors for letting us be here. So again, I am a member of Idle No More SF Bay. I live in Richmond, California, and I live about 20 blocks away from the Chevron refinery. And so my inspiration, or something that really woke me up to be part of Idle No More SF Bay, was the explosion that happened in August 6, 2012. So when that explosion happened, it sent over 15,000 community residents to the hospital. And, you know, through that knowledge and through that experience, our chapter, Idle No More SF Bay, we had organized refinery healing walks in the course of 4 years, so 2014 to 2017. We walked from one fossil fuel impacted community to the next. So that consisted of Shell, Tesoro, Valero, Phillips 66, and then Chevron. And we had these walks because we wanted to show the Bay Area and other folks around, you know, what it's like to live or even be in these sacrifice zones in these communities. You know, a lot of the communities are people of color, they're low income, and a lot of them deal with health issues when it comes to asthma, cancers, or neurological diseases. And so we walked for clean air, clean water, and clean soil, and that's our mission as Idle No More. And this, the group is actually all volunteer. It's a grassroots indigenous, women indigenous-led organization. We've been really active around, in most recent days, the Phillips 66 refinery. So that's based in Rodeo, California, which isn't too far from here, right by the water. And they're currently trying to expand their wharf terminal. So they're wanting to bring over 93 plus more oil tankers through our San Francisco Bay that will carry hundreds of thousands of barrels of tar sands. Now, do we want that to go through our bay? No, we don't. And so we've been attending meetings and putting pressure towards our Bay Area Air Quality Management District board and staff, because they're the ones who are actually making this decision. And in January, we found out that they passed a permit that was one of the first parts of the project to expand this wharf terminal. And so, you know, it's coming to that point where we have to come together. We have to educate one another, even the board as well. You know, we have to educate these elected officials who are the ones that, you know, we're supposed to be putting our trust into. You know, they're the ones that are making this decisions for us, but we're the ones that's facing the impacts of everything. And so, as young people, you know, our main concern is really our health when it comes to our water, our air, and the land that we're standing on. And the decisions that we are making and that we are doing, you know, we have to keep in mind, you know, the next generations that are coming after us, because those are the ones who will have to be cleaning up everything that was left behind. And so if you'd like to get more involved with that, with our chapter and all the work that we've been doing, you can follow Idle No More SF Bay on Facebook, or it's idlenomore.sfbay.org, or even come to me. I have a little business card, kind of official. But yeah, there's lots more that you can talk with me after this, but thank you.
Thank you, Isabella. And now we're going to have Jazene Thomas. She's a student at Envision Academy of Arts and Technology. She's worked with Girls Inc. ACT program, and she's been an assistant with 350.org Youth versus Coal, which is now called Youth versus the Apocalypse. Okay.
Hello, my name is Jazene Thomas. I'm a 16-year-old student at Vision Academy and someone who believes in change. As you already know, I am a part of Youth vs. Apocalypse and ACT at Girls Inc. in Oakland. And I feel that the thing that is most important in our environment is pollution. Pollution today is a problem. We look on the news and China has spared the air days, people getting sicker and sicker by the minute, and people starting to die.
Can you hear okay?
Yeah, no.
Yeah, just put it
Right there?
Yeah.
Okay. As a young teen and a person who is awoke, I want to make a change to the issues today in our society. As we look on TV or we read an article about our air, we become devastated for what our fellow brothers and sisters, cousins, family members, or friends are going through. As I speak right now, we have people in the UK, India, Pakistan, and in the US, and so many more places that are going on through the effects of the pollution. When pollution is occurring, we have people covering their mouths, holding on to each other, praying and asking if this will ever end. And I want to say yes so they can have hope, because I do. As I stand before you today, I have family members that have asthma, and it's not the best feeling to have. So imagine a little kid who is 9 years old and 8 years old having asthma and pollution invading their lungs, possibly causing them to have short-term respiratory infections and lung damage. And let's not forget the important emphysema and chronic bronchitis, as well as lung cancer. They can't breathe. I personally would be devastated to lose a family member to this issue. and you would too. I have currently been involved in the march in San Francisco where the mayor and the governor had spoke, the Youth versus Coal march that me and my friend, who is also a part of Girls Inc., were leading and asking for clean air for our new generations to come and the generations that we are currently in. And I have been to so many more places taking notes on what the pollution is actually doing in our community. And it's not pretty. When I participate in these protester meetings, I learn new things about what is actually happening and becoming more aware, and it makes me feel great because I want to start making change. We have places in Oakland that have to dig up 6,000 feet of dirt just so that we can have clean dirt because it's biohazard and unhealthy, and we don't want that to go into our crops, and we do not want to eat that. I have been into additional meetings discussing water and how dirt is backing it up and it's not safe to drink anymore. Is that really what we want? With the actions that I have been doing, I feel that I can encourage my people, younger, older, whatever, to do the same. This is something that made me passionate and grateful because I'm actually doing something that can end the war of asthma, cancer, kids dying, and people having to cover their mouths just so they can walk outside. I want everyone to know that life can be better than this, but we still do need help because my fellow peers and I cannot do it by ourselves. This could be the future to something so much better. Just think about how the kids will feel and the newborn babies that are brought into this world.
Thank you so much. And next we'll have Kristi Druckman. Kristi just graduated from UC Berkeley. Yay! She's an environmental media host, co-founder of Students of Color Environmental Collective, and a member of Brown Girl Green.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kristi Druckman. And so I just graduated from UC Berkeley, and during my time there, I was an environmental youth activist, and I was really frustrated. Me and my friends who are in environmental activism got really frustrated with how white and inaccessible the movement is to low-income people of color. And we decided, the messaging of the environmental movement has to move beyond Earth Day. It can't just be confined to this day. Every day is Earth Day, but what does that really mean to low-income people and communities of color? And me and my friends got really frustrated about that, so we formed the Students of Color Environmental Collective on UC Berkeley's campus to challenge the College of Natural Resources to rethink its curriculum about environmental justice and how it's addressing students of color on campus in terms of resources, in terms of a green jobs pipeline, and so forth. And so now that I've graduated, in the past couple of months, I was like, okay, I feel like my place in this movement is as a storyteller. And there's plenty of awesome, empowering mentors and people of color in the outdoor and environmental field who have really inspired me and who have made me feel comfortable and inspired to do this work. And so I was really inspired to start my own podcast and media series, trying to highlight environmental leaders and advocates who are trying to address diversity and inclusivity in the environmental movement and career field overall. And so since then, I've kind of built this podcast and started a video series working with young people of color and older folks and elders who have really been inspired and invested in this work. And it has really taught me how to be more creative, how to build community with other folks, and how to encourage white allies the actions they can actually take to have our needs listened to and have our feelings and the ways in which we feel in environmental spaces validated. Because I've met so many of my friends just at the university level switch out of environmental majors because either their families put pressure on them that the environmental fields, wouldn't be a sustainable living because they can't afford to do unpaid internships if they have to feed their families, to do conservation work. And then it led to, the green jobs pipeline and me talking to some of my friends who are young environmental professionals who experience microaggressions and experience, unfair salaries and the list goes on of people just feeling very uncomfortable in this field and leaving and not looking back because they find other work that's more appealing to their lifestyle and things that mean more to them. So that's my spiel on Brown Girl Green. You can check me out on social media. Talk to me afterwards. I'd love to get to know you all. Thanks.
These are some great speakers here, huh? So, next we have Nina Gordon Kirsch. She's an active member of the Sunrise Movement.
Hi everyone, my name is Nina and I grew up here in Berkeley, went to Berkeley High, now I live in Oakland. And we recently started a hub here of a national organization called Sunrise Movement. And Sunrise Movement organizes young people around climate change activism. And we specifically are reaching out to our representatives to make sure our voices are heard. So we want to focus on the 2018 and 2020 elections because we feel like right now our representatives aren't correctly voicing our opinions. So we want to be able to tell them what our opinions are so they know to voice our opinions for us. A few things that we're working on right now. One is the No Fossil Fuel Pledge, where we're asking our representatives to sign a pledge saying that they won't take any campaign money from fossil fuel executives or fossil fuel companies. And it's really interesting to see that this is a huge deal. A lot of fossil fuel executives and companies are giving campaign money to Democrats, to liberals, and that's been going on for years. So we're asking our representatives and people who are running for office to sign this pledge. And there's a coalition of a bunch of different nonprofits who are looking into making sure they're accountable to after they sign the pledge. Something we did here locally last week is we asked Senator Dianne Feinstein to say no to Pompeo as Secretary of State nomination, who Trump wants as Secretary of State. So last Thursday, we all put on our social media, on Instagram, on Twitter, and on Facebook to say, Dianne Feinstein, I'm tagging you and I want you to say no to Pompeo. And then on Tuesday, Dianne tweeted that she did not accept Pompeo as a Secretary of State nomination. So we felt really good about that, and it just shows that like local action, when you reach out to your representative, can actually have a change. And then one other thing I'll just put out there is that in September, there's going to be something in San Francisco called the Global Climate Action Summit, which is pretty much our state's way of celebrating like us being activists or us being green and environmentalists. And we as Sunrise Movement feel like California could be setting the standards of environmentalism for the rest of the nation way higher than we're already setting them today. And we don't feel like California has really earned the name of being a climate mover. And we really want to be at that march to say, hey, we can do better and we can raise the bar higher. So look out for the Global Climate Action Summit in September. And then I'll just say, as same as everyone, I have another minute. Okay. So right now, Sunrise Movement started on the East Coast, and we just came to California in the fall, and we're trying to create a really big hub here. So we're reaching out to high schools and to colleges and to any events like this. Thank you so much, Julie, for having us. We're trying to get our name out there. So if you know anybody who'd be interested in having one of us come speak or do any type of outreach, please let me know, because that's like a huge push for us right now because we're new to the Bay Area, as we want to get all the young people who can make change. Because we believe we are all volunteers, and we don't have money like the fossil fuel executives do, but we do have people power, and we want to make sure that people power is happening. So outreach is huge for us. If you feel like donating to the cause, we have a Venmo, Sunrise Bay Area. And we also have Instagram and Facebook and Twitter, and we're very active. A lot of young folks are active on social media, so follow us. And the last thing I'll say is we're going to have a table downstairs for the rest of the day, so please come and talk to us or sign up for our mailing list and how you can get more involved. But I'm here because I believe that young people have a voice in our political climate change activism. So thank you for having me.
Yay. Thank you all. Yeah, I just want to say, doing this work of finding the youth activists that are out there, it was just amazing because the more I dug, the more I found. And there's some really strong groups out there doing powerful work. So, yeah, check them out. So, next is Ayesha Clarke. She's an Oakland student. She's been involved with numerous social justice organizations, including Youth Against Coal, which is now called Youth Against Apocalypse, and with Jewish Youth for Community Action and Destiny Arts.
Hey y'all, I'm Ayesha, like she said. It's a beautiful day. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me. So I've been working with Youth versus Apocalypse on this proposed coal terminal. I'm sure some of you have heard of it, but basically this developer, Phil Tagami, is proposing or has proposed this coal terminal that's going to go through West Oakland, and there's been a bunch of drama. They shut him down, and now he's suing Oakland, and that's taking a bunch of our resources and a whole bunch of other stuff. So that's what we've been working on, and I feel like in the short time that I have, I really just want to talk about the intersectionality and environmentalism, because I feel like that's something that's so left out of the conversation, and I'm so happy that we have all these people on this panel who have been talking about it. But just the fact that the area that he's trying to bring the coal through is West Oakland, and that's a community that's disproportionately affected by asthma and lung cancer and so many other things, and it's a community that is Black and brown and is low income and is just constantly swept under the rug and just forgotten, and kind of just we throw all of our trash on them, and I'm sick of it. And as a person who is from West Oakland, I feel that it's important that we are a part of the conversation, and I feel like in environmental activism, Black and brown people are so often shut out and left out of the conversation, and that in Black and brown communities, there's this stigma about environmental activism. Like there's so many more important things, like in an age where Black and brown people are being beat up by the police and are facing disenfranchisement and all this other stuff, that we should be focusing on that. And while I do find that as something that's dear to my heart, as you can see by this t-shirt, I think that the earth should come first, and that we can't fight these oppressions that are specifically towards us if we don't have a thriving earth first. And I think that as white allies, it's important to allow us to be a part of the conversation, because most of the time we are the people who are really being affected by it, or who are being affected by it the most. And so that's just something that is incredibly important to me. And I think that there's so many powerful women of color up here, and I'm so happy to be sitting by you. I can feel your energy. And I'd be happy to talk with people after if you have questions or anything like that. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And these incredible women are what? You know, and I do want to say, I did put it out to a number of different youth groups that we were looking for panelists. And these are the women who stepped up. So, yeah, you know, and Corey, yeah, we have our. So I'm thrilled. And, you know, we're going to have a meet and greet in the lobby out here afterwards. I'm hoping some of the panelists can stay for that if you want to talk to them directly. And Corey will also be here. Corey came all the way from Eugene, so this is your chance to get him while you can. And it's just great to have all this power in one place. So I also want to encourage you to join with us at the Bay Area Friends of Our Children's Trust. It's a local group to support our Children's Trust, and we have a table and a sign-up sheet downstairs. Does anybody, was there something urgent any of you felt like you left out, you want to say?
Actually, yes.
Yes, please.
I'm sorry, I just realized the two of my biggest identities as a social justice organizer is me being a woman of color, but also me being a youth. And I feel like youth are another group who are left out of a lot of movements, because we're seen as like we don't have enough wisdom, or we don't have anything to add to the group. And I think that is bullshit, and we are like the most powerful people. Yes. And we have so much energy and drive, and that I'm happy that this is a youth panel, because I feel like youth have so many things to say that are so often just we're told to be quiet or to listen, and now I feel like it's our time to talk. And so to also allow us to be a part of the movement and give us positions of leadership so that we can, you get it. So thank you.
So I also wanted to say one last thing. So as I was digging through my purse for my water bottle, I realized I had this banner, or not this banner, this patch. And this patch, yeah, if you can hold it. And so this image was created by Isaac Murdoch. He's, I believe he's First Nations from Canada. And a lot of people know this image from Standing Rock. And so as she just mentioned, how youth have a powerful voice, this definitely reminded me about Standing Rock and the fight to stop the Dakota Access Pipeline, because it was started by youth. Youth literally ran over 2,000 miles to deliver a letter to the Obama administration to tell them to veto this pipeline. And so because of those youth, it uplifted this huge fight to stand up for our water, to stand up for our rights, and to stand up for Indigenous people as well. Because this land that we are standing on, all the Americas, it's all on stolen land. And so what I want to also acknowledge is, to encourage all of you to learn and to educate what land you are occupying. Throughout this Bay Area, it's all Ohlone territory. If you go more up north, it's Pomo, Miwok. Acknowledge these tribal people, because they still exist and we're still here. And that this movement, it's a continuous thing. And, Standing Rock isn't just up in North Dakota. Standing Rock is here in our own backyard. And it's just going to keep on going until we, stop it.
So I also want to open it up to you all. Are there other? Yes, Elise? Oh, yeah.
Across the street from Spangers. What's going to happen with that? And that is a Ohlone shell mound.
Yeah.
I mean, exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, and with the for those of you who do you guys know where Spangers is at? Can I get a raise of hand? So that parking lot, if you don't know, is the last shell mound that is left that has not been fully demolished or built on top of. The shell mound is over 5,700 years old, and it's one of the first, they say it's one of the first places where life existed. The first laugh, the first cry, the first loving, intimate moment with the Ohlone people. And so the city of Berkeley is trying to build some condos there, apartments, for low-income community, really for gentrifiers who make at least $80,000 a year. And so the West Berkeley Shell Mound, they have a website, they have a Facebook, you can learn more about that, and they have to actually continue to repaint images that says protect sacred sites or protect the West Berkeley Shell Mound, because the city of Berkeley keeps painting over because they're trying to erase it. And it's why are you trying to erase history, erase the people of this land? And so that's a huge battle that is going on. And also, I just wanted to add on to that, please do not shop at the Emeryville Shopping Center anymore, because that is also built on top of Ohlone sacred site, and they literally took out ancestral bones of the Ohlone people, put them in a box, and is now in a basement at UC Berkeley Anthropology Center. And so, just boycotting stuff like that and learning about that is really important. So again, West Berkeley Shell Mound, I think .org or .com. Thanks for mentioning that.
Yeah. Do we have any other youth groups that are here today that haven't been? I want to do a shout out to any other youth that are working environmentally. Woo! Yay! Woo-hoo! Do you want to say what group you work with? Okay. Woohoo! Anybody else? Okay. All right. Do you have any? Let's see. Let me check the time. Oh, sorry. Yes.
I have a question. First of all, I'm so proud of you all. You give me hope for our future generations. And you all were just so poised, and you gave out such good information. My question involves around, one of the reasons why I came to this is because it's been advertised as the first vegan Berkeley Earth Day. And I've not heard any of the speakers today speak about how important eating a vegan diet is for our planet. Wondering if any of you all have watched Cowspiracy.com, or if any of you are vegan.
So I'm vegetarian and my housemate's vegan, and I veer towards that diet specifically because of the environmental impacts of the meat industry in our country. And that started when I was in 8th grade science at King Middle School, and we learned about the meat industry. So I'm aware of it in my personal life, and I spread that message to those around me. And my movement, Sunrise Movement, hasn't taken a public stance on eating habits, but it's definitely a culture. Like at our trainings, we don't have meat; it's all vegetarian, and also veers towards vegan. So we haven't outwardly made a statement about it, but it's definitely a viewpoint that a lot of us are living by.
Well, I haven't seen it yet, and I'm actually pescatarian, transitioning into vegetarian, and I sort of, okay, I'm just say I sort of have some mixed feelings about that just because of my ancestral background. As an indigenous person, we depended on the meat, we depended on the land, and when it comes to eating meat, it isn't just like mass producing or mass killing these animals. It was more of that as an offering of creator of the earth, of offering that animal in that space, in that time for us. And we would have ceremony, we would pray for that animal, and we would thank that animal, and we would also, use every part of it, and not throw it away. And so that's something that I think about, constantly, and I definitely am all for people who are vegan, vegetarian, anything like that. Not everybody has that opportunity to become a vegan. Me living in Richmond, low-income community, literally there's liquor stores and, small smoke shop markets all over the place. And that's the only type of food that we can eat, that we can afford. We can't afford all organic products like that. And living in Richmond, we can't directly use our soil because it has been contaminated by the Chevron refinery, so we have to actually get imported soil to our lands to use raised beds. And so there's different difficulties like that we have to adjust to, but it's something that is in transition. People are becoming more aware and are starting to learn. And I want to give shout out to Urban Tilth that is out in Richmond. They have a CSA box that they send out to the community for them to know that this is directly coming from people in your own backyard that are wanting to provide healthy food for you, so that way you can not depend on junk food and processed food. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. I will admit that that's something that I am not educated on, and I really want to educate myself on that. I think it's really important, so thank you for bringing that up. But yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. I was going to say that I feel like it's really hard to really like be 100% for something, because there's always something about it. And for like that veganism or vegetarianism, it's the fact that a lot of low-income people can't do that. Like they just don't have the resources to do that. And so we need to figure out ways to allow it, to make it so that everyone can participate in this benefit for both the earth and for the self. And so I'm definitely interested in learning more about that and learning how I can do that and how I can participate in that. So thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, thank you. And so,
Happy to treat all 5 of you to lunch after.
yeah. So, and I think that, Earth Day is many things to many people, and today's day is a vegan theme, and there's many places to learn more about that all around here, and especially the tables downstairs. So I'd encourage you to check those out. Do we have any other comments? Yes. Sorry, we can't hear you. Are there stairs?
Hi. My name is Andre Thompson, and this is Sharon Siskin. Can you hear me?
Yes.
And we teach environmental and social justice art at Laney College. And I just want to say how proud I am of all of you. It's very it's very moving how much work you're doing. We would like you all to come and talk to our class and all of our students and get them involved. And I just wanted to pass on something I just learned that I'm very excited about. We've been on a binge. People hate me when I go to the restaurants with them because I pull out my metal straw from the Plastic Pollution Coalition. But I just want you to know that I just got a cup. Somebody gave me a cup, a metal cup that holds ice for 12 hours, and it has a metal straw. And to tell everybody that the country of England, all of Britain, has banned plastic straws and plastic stirrers and is encouraging all of the countries in Europe to do the same. So that has to be part of our movement.
So yeah, I'm Jacqueline Amanya. I teach third grade right here in Berkeley, actually right up the street on Oxford Street. And my class is a zero waste classroom. I think we're the only one in the city of Berkeley, being very interesting because there are all these high goals for the city to meet all these requirements. But I believe we need to start in the schools. You are absolutely inspirational for me because my students will be you in a few years. We were gifted cutlery kits from the Park Service just because one child talked about it at the Presidio, and in the mail, cutlery kits, bamboo cutlery kits came for everybody. So it's great getting your word out. You'll never know who you affect, and yeah, that's all. Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, I just want to promote, I've been vegan for about 6 years now. And there's a 8-minute video on YouTube, How Not to Die by Dr. Greger. Have you guys heard of it? How Not to Die by Dr. Greger. He's like, he's one of my favorite YouTuber. So just look into it.
Hi, I just wanted to acknowledge and say that something that I find really inspirational about what you all 5 are doing is that there's so many options that we have as individuals, whether it's reducing meat consumption, reducing airplane flights, reducing the size of homes that we own and water plants in, whatever that is. There's a lot of options as individuals, but ultimately it's a cultural and political shift that's also needed. So I really appreciate that you all are not just addressing those individual consumer choices, which I believe are awesome, but are not going to get us where we need to be unless we change our social structure and the way that our politics system works. So I appreciate all of you for speaking out on that level as well.
Hello, I feel like I should have spoken up earlier when youth activism and just youth involvement was involved. My name is Sharon, and I was in the same global poverty and practice class as Kristi, who's on our panel over here. And right now I'm working with an organization called Open Source Wellness, and I'm working in a low-income community at Alameda Point Collaborative to provide wellness and try to combat some of the ways that the community can't access health in the same way that higher income communities can. And so I just wanted to let you know that I'm really happy to hear about the intersection between environmental justice and health justice, because there is a lot of there are a lot of links between those two things, and it just makes me really happy to hear about this kind of intersectionality that's being talked about.
I know we're almost done, but I just wanted to ask if you all wouldn't mind sharing how folks in this room can support your work and be allies, especially like the older folks and adults in this room can be allies to the youth leadership that is on this panel.
Are we going to do that in the other room?
Yeah, I think we started a little late, so nobody's bugging me yet about leaving the room. We are going to have a meet and greet right outside this room, and hoping the panelists can stay. Some may have to leave, but we'll be able to do that. And I don't see hope. I don't see anybody kicking me out. So maybe we could do a short, like how you can help. I know with buy a T-shirt. Our Children's Trust is downstairs. Wonderful T-shirt. And actually, they're free with a donation of $30. I know it's a lot. But wait, I was going to say, in Bay Area, Friends of Our Children's Trust, and could use lots of help as well as our Children's Trust itself. So, go ahead.
Maybe we'll just go down the line. So Sunrise Movement is started by youth, and a lot of the active membership are young people. And we have so many allies of people of all ages and all colors, and it's so important for everyone to be on board with climate change action. So ways that we can be supported is financial donations, which fund our trainings, reaching out to more and more young people, or the materials that we're using while we're doing our activism. And also social media pushes and media coverage. If anyone knows anyone at a newspaper or an online blog, please reach out to them for us as Sunrise Movement. We always need more outreach.
Look down the panel right here for a media person. But, Kristi, but I just wanted to say, one of the reasons I like working with our Children's Trust and all these people is because it's a systemic change we're working for. You know, if these kids win this lawsuit, it's going to change the whole federal government's approach to the environment. So, yeah.
Hi, one way you can support, Girls Inc. is having an event on May 19th. We are giving back to our Oakland community, so we will be handing out vegan meals, like healthy things, and like lots of resources for like insurance for low-income communities. And we're really trying to get people to understand that there are resources out there that can actually help us, and that we are here to stand by them as well. And then with Phil Tagami, we're
wrapping it up.
Yeah, there's an action that will be coming up, so if for more information you can email me or you can email my partner Ayesha.
I think there's a couple like simple ways. One, if you hear about a youth organized rally or any type of action, come. Like, we need people power. If you're in a room, like maybe a social justice meeting or something like that, and you see a youth there, like, let them speak. And they might be scared to speak, but try to get them to speak, push them to speak. And also the last way is don't speak for us. Because I feel like that is a big thing where adults think that they know exactly what we're thinking or that they know what we want, but let us say that for ourselves. Don't try to like assume or just speak for us.
So although the group that I'm part of it's multi-generational, so it is led by Indigenous grandmothers, but we have about like 5 or 6 young people ages 24 up to about 30. You can go on idlenomore.sfbay.org. That's IDLE, no more, NOMORE, SFBAY, .org. Because we have different events that are posted. There's a couple of blogs that you can read, and the most upcoming event that's coming up is one of our co-founders, Penny Opal Plant, will be speaking on a panel with Bill McKibben and other folks on May 14th, I believe. There is a link where you can look for tickets where they're available for you to check out. But yeah, that's something to look forward to. I can't remember right now, but no, it's SFBay. Yeah, idlenomore.sfbay.org. There's many chapters out there, and here in the Bay Area where it's specific, SF Bay.
Awesome. Oh, do you want to say yours?
Also to include, you could follow Youth vs. Apocalypse on Facebook at Youth vs. Apocalypse.
And as I mentioned, I'm starting my own podcast and media series called Brown Girl Green. So you can follow me on Instagram. I'm on Facebook, Kristi Druckman. I'm also on Twitter. But as I said, I'm like a budding young creative, and I'm a woman of color who doesn't have like the financial resources to be putting in all like the labor into this work. So I'm looking for people who can help me out in any way, whether that's financial or connecting me to other professionals to interview on my show. Creative grant writing, any of that stuff. I'm looking for any help I can find. So thank you. And if you want to talk afterwards, come up to me.
Thank you so much. Yay, let's give a big hand. Please stay and talk with us out in the lobby.